This meeting is being recorded.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the first informational session for WE4F 2.0. We will be starting in 2 minutes. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the informational session, the first informational session under WE4F 2.0. We will be starting now.
Hello.
Okay. All right, Talar, can we... Welcome to the first informational session again. I would like to introduce our speakers. Our speakers for today are Irene Baghdadi. She is the Technical Assistant Specialist with Chemonics Egypt. And we also have Saman Jaffan, who is the Grants and Finance Specialist with Beritech. So before we start with the agenda, if you have any question throughout the session, please drop them in the chat and we will be addressing them during our Q&A session at the end. The clearer your question is, the better answer you would get. For Arabic and French interpretation, it is available in the interpretation channel below. إذا كنت ترغب في الاستماع إلى العرض باللغة الفرنسية، يرجى الضغط على رمز الكرة الأرضية في أسفل الشاشة ثم اختيار اللغة الفرنسية. Talar.
Yes, si vous souhaitez écouter la présentation en français, veuillez cliquer sur l'icône en forme de globe au bas de vos écrans, puis sélectionner Français.
You will find all the recordings of the recording for the virtual launch and this recording in our website, and also the frequently asked questions document as well, which we will be going through in this session. For the agenda, For those who weren't able to attend the virtual launch, you can head to our website, and in the we4f.org/MENA, you will find the whole program and the objectives which were covered thoroughly in the launch. For today's session, we will be walking you through the two calls for innovation that are currently open, which are track 1 and 2. Then we will be going through the eligibility criteria for each track so you can assess where your business fits. And then we will be closing with a dedicated Q&A session where our team will be answering your questions. With that, I will hand it over to Irene, who will present the call for innovations and the eligibility. Irene, the floor is yours.
Everybody. مساء الخير. Bon après-midi. And it's really nice to be with you. And it's really heartwarming to see 100 innovators from the region attending this call. So thank you for your time. And I also encourage you to click on the link that Leah has shown in the first slide, which will also be on the chat shortly, to catch up on the launch event that took place a few weeks ago, because this is where you will have an overview about water and energy for food 2.0, and an idea about the partners and the overall targeted objectives and goals and outcomes. So I highly encourage you. It's a 1-hour video, but it will really provide a strong background. And we also encourage you to take a look at the solicitation documents that are available in Arabic and English, also on the website. There's a lot of details in there about the program, about the lessons learned from We4Food 1.0, about the targets, the KPIs that the program is targeting, the 4 different tracks, and also information about the concept note and the full proposal. So you can actually, before you start working on the application form online, you can actually already see the application form questions for both the expression of interest, which is the phase we're in now, but also in the next phase for the full proposal. So all of this information is readily available on the website in Arabic and English for you to prepare well before applying. So we highly encourage you to take a look at those. Okay, I'm also really appreciative that the innovators are already beginning to introduce themselves on the chat, so keep it up. It would be great if you can put your full name as well as the name of your company and the country that you're coming from. I can already see people from Tunisia, from Iraq, from Egypt, from Lebanon. This is really excellent. Okay, so we're here today because we have actually launched 2 of the 4 tracks. So we launched track 1 and track 2. And one of the lessons learned from the first Water and Energy for Food program that was launched 5 years ago is that different types of innovators in different stages of their development need a different type of support. So this is why we have 4 different tracks targeting 4 different region, 4 different sets of countries in the MENA region, and targeting companies in different stages of their development, or organizations in different stages of their development. So track 1 targets small and medium enterprises that have a big influence on job creation and the development of their value chains in agriculture and food value chains in the targeted countries. So here our target is to work with up to 30 innovators, organizations, or private sector companies. And our countries of focus are Lebanon, Egypt, Jordan, Iraq, Morocco, and Tunisia. So those are the main countries of focus. If you are, let's say, operating in a different country, but also have a national partner in any of these countries, you can also apply as long as your partnership has been valid for at least 1 year, and you can show that you have strong presence in those countries. We are expecting that firms in this level, so between, since they are existing small and medium enterprises, we are targeting firms that have at least 3 years of operations. So that means at least 3 years of revenue generation. uh, and 3 years since registration. In terms of the innovation aspect that we're looking for, we're mostly looking to see that the companies that we're supporting have a strong scalability potential, so they can scale up to introduce new products and services in the region, and also to target new markets, and has a supply chain impact. So has an impact on agri-food supply chains, whether it's on waste collection, for example, treatment, processing, manufacturing, etc. So that's a really key point, because we really do see that SMEs have a critical role in shaping the value chains that they operate in. The minimum annual revenue required is around $300,000. And of course, you can indicate in your application form the conversion rate that you have been using. And it's also important that you indicate how you have strong financial stability over the years. So over the last 3 years that you have been operating, the more we can see that the business has financial stability, the better the business case. Of course, in the region, this is a very big challenge, but in your application form, you can also clarify, if there was ever any drop in your revenues, you also have the opportunity to explain why this drop happened and how you're, improving your financial stability with time, and how the grant will support you in the future in achieving financial stability. Track 1 also is the only track that has a profitability target as well. So there's an indicator that we look at called the EBITDA margin. And here the company has to demonstrate that it has at least 5% EBITDA average in the last 3 years. So in the last 3 years of its operations. And in the solicitation document online, and also in the JOT form that you will fill out for this track, you can also find a calculator that you can use that can help you calculate your EBITDA margin. It's very straightforward. You have all the inputs that you need. If you're an existing business, you have all the inputs that you need to make this calculation. And we have really simplified the calculation through a calculator that can hopefully help you. The growth stage that's targeted is, again, like I mentioned, established companies that have strong financial stability and clear supply chain integration and impact on the supply chain that it's operating in. It's important that the company has a strong local and national footprint with a clear way of engaging its suppliers, whether the suppliers are other agribusinesses or farmers or equipment providers, etc. The matching requirements. So, like we always say to the innovators that we work with, it's really important that we see that you have skin in the game. We are partners in your growth, so it's important that just like this program will be offering you a grant, it's also important to see that you are also investing your own internal resources. So for track 1, the innovators supported will be expected to match the grant they request by 100%, or at least 100%. So for example, if your budget for this project that you want to implement with We4Food, let's say your budget is 200,000. If you're going to be requesting a grant of 100,000, we need to see that you can provide at least another 100,000 as a matching fund. And Mr. Saman in a little bit will also explain this in more detail. So the grant average is around $100,000. Of course, this is plus or minus depending on the business case that is made. And in this program, you will also be supported with deep technical assistance that is tailored to your stage of development, as well as investment readiness and facilitation support to help you maximize the benefit of the catalytic grant that's being provided. Okay, next. Then we move on to track 2. Leah, if you can help me also include the link for track 1 in the chat. So if you feel like you are eligible for track 1, then we invite you to apply as soon as possible. The deadline is in a few weeks. The application form should not take you too long. Most of you probably already have this information. Okay, so for track two, the track two is targeting rapidly growing, innovative enterprises and innovators. So here we're also targeting up to 30 companies, and the countries are the same as track one. So Lebanon, Egypt, Jordan, Iraq, Morocco, and Tunisia. But here the firm can be younger. It could be, 1, 2, 3 years of operations, and but it should be a minimum of 1 year. So they should be generating revenue for at least 1 year. So we're not working with idea stage startups in this program. It should show that it has innovative solutions compared to other solutions provided in the market and compared to the competitive landscape. And it should also show strong market disruption potential. The minimum annual revenue is around $100,000. And you're not required to demonstrate profitability, so you're not required to calculate your EBITDA margin and submit it. Here we're targeting companies and organizations that have early traction and they can demonstrate scale up potential. So if you're a company again that's less than 3 years of operations or 3 years of revenues, but you have strong scaling up potential, you can grow at growth rates that's higher than the average in the market, then definitely this program is for you. It's important that, of course, like in track one, that you're operating in at least one of the target countries, Lebanon, Egypt, Jordan, Iraq, Morocco, or Tunisia, and that you can demonstrate potential for regional expansion. So expanding within the 10 countries that the program is targeting. And the market requirements is to match the grant by about 50%. And Mr. Saman will be discussing this a little bit more. So it doesn't have to be a one-to-one match. You can provide you can provide at least half the grant amount that you're asking for to make your project come to reality. The grant average is around $50,000, and this program also provides technical assistance and investment readiness facilitation. Next. Okay, so we already discussed the geographical coverage. It's Egypt, Lebanon, Morocco, Tunisia, Iraq, Jordan. You have to have legal presence in these countries and registered there. But if you don't, if you're operating outside these countries, but you have a national partner that is present in any of these countries and they have legal presence in any of these countries, and you have a formal partnership with them for at least 1 year, then you could also still consider applying. But it's really important that your partner is the one that's applying as the lead applicant as much as you can. And it's important to also show the strong connection that the two of you have in operating in the region and interest to also expand to other countries in the region. Okay, next. Okay, the thematic targets, and we in the solicitation document that we will also be sharing in the link in the chat, you will see much more details about what is accepted in the program and what is not accepted, what the program is targeting and what the program is not targeting. So here I'll just give an overview of the thematic areas. So there's 11 different thematic areas that the program is targeting and aims to scale up the impact of. The first is innovations in food production to reduce water usage. The second is efficient use of water resources for food production, followed by the sustainable use of energy and water on farm, followed by energy innovations for food processing and logistics, then food production with efficient energy use, other solutions that leverage food or agriculture wastes or all types of organic waste to produce cleaner energy, projects that are supporting land restoration and prevention of farmland loss, and then other innovations working across the agri-food logistics, for example, packaging, for example, food drying, etc. Innovations in increasing circularity and decreasing waste. So this could include, for example, solutions that are supporting in the recycling of food waste or sustainable packaging solutions, innovations in organic farming, and wastewater treatment or wastewater reduction or water loss reduction, desalination as long as it serves the agri-food value chain. So basically, any type of innovation that is targeting the more energy efficient, cleaner, more water efficient agri-food supply chains. That also includes, packaging, sustainable packaging, food waste reduction. It includes land restoration, includes wastewater treatment, desalination, etc. As long as it's serving the agriculture and food production sector and it's supporting in the provision of clean energy or the reduction of energy use, the provision of treated water or the reduction of water, then it's likely going to fit in any of these thematic areas. And I also really encourage you to take a look at the Water and Energy for Food website for you to see examples of innovators from around the world. There are more than 150 innovators that have actually been supported by Water and Energy for Food 1.0. And this will give you a good idea about what types of innovators have been supported previously. And WE4F 2.0, we've also broadened the thematic areas of focus, as you will see. Next. Okay, so I'll pass it over to my colleague, Mr. Sim'an, to give you a bit of an idea about the grants and finance aspect. We've received a lot of questions on this point, and especially on the matching grant and what is considered to be a matching grant, what can be funded, what cannot be funded. So we have consolidated all the questions that you have been asking in the last period, and Mr. Saman will shed light on some of those key responses.
Yes, thank you, Irene. Thank you so much. Hello, everyone, and thank you for attending again. So I'm so glad to walk you through some details about the grants and the matching or cost sharing requirement. So I'll go through this slide very briefly since we already went through it on the launch webinar. We, the grants and finance team, will work with each one of you if you got selected to scale your business and make sure the funding is catalytic, well structured, and as well compliant. Of course, we will help you translate the strategy into a realistic growth plan, and we will guide you through the matching fund, the cost sharing, and the pre-award survey, in which we will examine your internal control systems and guide you in the due diligence phase. So I'll jump next so quickly to the second slide. So please, Leah, if we can move to the... Okay, so here on this slide, we will go through the grant and matching requirements into much more details. As Irene said, I will give some explanation about the concept of the grant and the matching requirement. So the key message here is simple. WE4F here is not financing business as usual. What we are actually doing is we are providing a catalytic grant support to help you unlock the next stage of your growth, as we said. So that means supports that will help you to increase production, ramp up operations, and of course, reach more end users, which is a target for each selected innovators in this program. And of course, to implement a realistic growth plan that will take your business from a level to another level. So when you fill the expression of interest, we know that at the time being, you are not required to provide a detailed breakdown about the grant or the matching contribution. But I need you and I encourage you to think about the budget in two parts. First, what are you seeking to get from WE4F? So, of course, we will provide you with the grants and with the technical assistance and the support. But you should think where this grant should be, what it will fund in terms of expenses and expansion of your business. The second part is what is the contribution that you are putting in with the grant to make sure that this scale will happen to your business. So matching fund is not just a number to fulfill the application. Of course, it should be realistic. It should be linked to the WE4F project and of course, clearly proven. The matching can be in cash equivalent, or sometimes, if eligible, we can accept in-kind contribution. I will pass with some examples in the next slide. But you should know also that the matching fund, if it was provided or financed by the current donors of the WE4F, then we cannot count it or accept it. We will go also through this point later on. So now in terms of the grant, let's start by the grant, what it actually covers. Mainly, the eligible costs are the salaries linked to the project, the raw materials, consumables, services, relevant operational costs, and of course, other justified costs. We will conduct a budget negotiation once you are selected to proceed to the full proposal stage, of course. But mainly, everything related to the project itself that will lead to scale your business, we can cover it, including also the equipment. But in practice, you should be thinking that the WE4F funding will lead you, as we said, to improve and scale your business and reach more end users. So what we recommend that both the grant budget and the matching contribution from your side should reflect the activities and costs that will help your company scale. For example, the costs that you will be paying by the grants or by the matching fund contribution should be directly linked to the production increase, let's say, or for the market expansion efforts to reach more end users and customers. Maybe the delivery, the rollout. Bottom line, we should focus on the implementation of the growth plan that we will be implementing in the WE4F program. This is why, from a grants and finance perspective, we usually like to see a strong operating and deployment logic on the grant side. In other words, what I'm saying is that the costs on the grant side needs to help the activities that will execute the scale up. As we said, the equipment is eligible, but if the whole request becomes heavily asset-based or focused on major capital items, then I think we start to move away from the catalytic purpose of the grant. So generally, I encourage you to consider large capital items or equipments under the matching fund side that you will contribute, and keep the grant support focusing on the scale-up activities around them. If you insist to include any equipment under the grant, of course, it should be well justified, a relatively small amount, proportionate, and we will review this on a case-by-case in the due diligence phase for the pre-finalists. For instance, also I can give an example for the constructions. Mainly the constructions, it takes a lot of time. And as you know, WE4F will be providing you with the support between 12 to 15 months. So hence we here prefer to leverage the activities that will push your company to scale rapidly, reach end users and customers rapidly, and create the impact that we are aiming to achieve. For this reason, we do not prefer to include construction activities under the grant or within the project that will take a lot of time. The second important point here that you should know, of course, you already know this from the solicitation, we will not be providing a upfront lump sum grant. The grant disbursement will be on tranche modes, mainly on the 3-tranche model. So I think the first tranche is upon signing the award signature, the award agreement, which implies the implementation, the start of the implementation. So you should think that if you acquired a grant for 100K, let's say, that doesn't mean that you will receive the full amount upfront or immediately. This is not how it works. The grant is released in stages, and each stage depends on the progress, the evidence, and the compliance, and of course, the impact and the set targets achieved. This brings me to a very important point also I need to highlight about the documentation based on lessons learned. The documentation matters a lot here from the very beginning. So because the logic of WE4F is not what do we fund, it's also how do we verify it and how do we make sure to track the relevant impact behind it. So when you are proposing the grant amount and the matching fund contribution from your side, I need you to think if later on you will be able to provide the proof documents, the invoice, the proof of payments, the source of funds that you will be contributing in the near future, because this is very important and it will contribute directly to to the approval of the payments that you will receive. Also here, for the point that I mentioned earlier about the donors, we're not saying that if you are acquiring a second program or another funding from another program, then you will not be eligible. But what we're highlighting here is, let's give an example. If you have acquired a grant and you will match the fund, let's say for track one, 100%. So I'll give an example of $100,000. Let's say you are buying a machine that costs 40,000 from your own funds, from your matching contribution. And let's say 20,000 are being funded from another program that is supported by, let's say, one of our donors, let's say SIDA. So this amount, we cannot consider it as a matching fund here. We consider the remaining amount. Why? Because we, as WE4F, we aim to show additionality in our support. So we cannot fund the same activity twice. For this reason, it's a point also that you should be aware of. Finally, I would say also that, of course, part of giving you a reassurance that we do not expect from you at this stage, at the expression of interest stage, to include a lot of details about how you will spend the grant. We will do this later on upon the full proposal stage for the selected innovators. But I need you to understand the basic logic that you should ask for a realistic grant. A credible matching plan should be built or designed from your side. And of course, eligible scale-up costs needs to be identified from the beginning. And keep in mind the ability to document both properly and in a way that will lead to release the payments for you once you are accepted in the program, or you get the approval. Once the innovators are selected, as we said, we as the JFT unit with the wider team will work closely with each one of you on a case by case to build a detailed grant and matching fund contribution. So here I can also give some examples in this slide. As we said, matching can be in cash or in kind, but in both cases, it should be clearly linked to the project and future-looking and, of course, properly proven. When we say cash contribution, we mean that you are paying actually for your costs. For example, a biofertilizer company might be purchasing packaging or raw materials, paying project staff that will lead to increase in production. Maybe a food processing company may be paying for lab tests, certifications, technical services, etc. So all those cash payments are considered as a cash contribution from your side. But when we say in-kind contribution, we mean a new non-cash resource contributed to the project, but it should be acquired after you are being selected to WE4F. So we do not accept all the in-kind contribution. Let's say a food processor may receive newly donated inputs or packaging materials from another program or another partner. Maybe a university will be providing you with a free access for testing facilities, maybe free access for a warehouse to store your inventory. All of this can be accepted, but on a condition that the value must be verifiable, directly related to the project, and of course documented properly. As we said for track 1 and track 2, for track 1, it's required a 100% matching fund, and for track 2, it's required a 50%. But here, the percentages does not mean that you cannot provide more. For example, let's say you are requesting a 100,000 grant, and you will be contributing more than 100,000 based on your project that you are aiming to establish within WE4F. We do not abide by the limit. You can include additional matching fund contribution, of course. And this will increase the scoring of your application for sure, and will help also to scale rapidly and, as we said, reach more end users and achieve the desired impact. The last thing here, I think we can move to the last slide for the pre-award survey. Okay, so here, upon being selected to proceed for the full proposal stage, and once you got the approval to join the WE4F program, Of course, we as the Grants and Finance, we will examine your operational capacity, your internal controls, your compliance system, your governance readiness through a process called a pre-award survey. So be aware that you will be required to provide some set of documentation, including legal documentation, financial statements, projections, HR policies, SOPs within your organization. So as we said, all of this are just to examine your readiness to implement the WE4F. And of course, we are ready to assist you with some recommendation and key actions to scrutinize those internal control systems. And of course, it will make you scale up, and it will benefit you beyond the WE4F also. So this is in brief what we are doing through the pre-award survey. I think now I can give the floor to Irene again, or yes, that's it from my side. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much. Okay, so we are currently in the expression of interest phase in WE4F 2.0 for tracks 1 and tracks 2. And what I wanted to provide you with is an overview on the 3 main pillars that we look at in both the expression of interest phase, but also in the full proposal phase in a little bit more detail. So typically the form that you will see on Jot form, and like I mentioned, this is something that will not take too long to prepare, but definitely we encourage you to look at the solicitation document first, read the questions, write your drafts before you fill out the Jot form. But you will see that it's typically broken down into 3 main segments, and then within those segments we look at 3 main aspects, which I'll walk you through. So one is we ask a series of eligibility questions. And those are related to the first 2 slides that I was walking you through earlier. For tracks 1 and tracks 2, we have a certain set of eligibility criteria that we ask a series of questions to make sure that you fit. And if you are not really sure which track you fit in, we also encourage you to apply for both tracks, and then we will be doing the screening in the back end to see where you fit better. Then we ask a series of questions around your innovation details. So like we presented earlier, we have a certain set of thematic areas. We have 11 thematic areas. So we ask you which one you believe you fit in, and then we ask for more information about your solution and your business model and your environmental, social impact and mitigation measures, as well as some questions related to governance and some questions related to integration of women and vulnerable groups. And then you'll see that in the next phase, which you don't have to worry about now, if you were deemed to be selected after the expression of interest phase, if you were deemed to be eligible and scored a certain way, then we allow you to also provide much more details in the full proposal phase. And in the full proposal phase, this is where you get to explain a lot more details about your innovation, your technology, the solutions, the budget, like Mr. Saman was mentioning, the tangible social and environmental impact that you create, as well as explaining what your growth plans are and how you plan to achieve your growth targets in the next 1.5 to 2 years. So you'll find those questions for the full proposal also in the solicitation document, but for now, let's focus on the expression of interest, and where we ask a series of simple questions. And like I said, if you're not sure where you fit, please apply for both. So cross-cuttingly, you'll find that we usually ask questions around the business and financial viability, both in the expression of interest and in the full proposal. Then we ask questions around the innovation viability. So, what for example, as an example, what differentiates your solutions from the others that your current customers or your prospect customers are are serving. And then finally, we ask a series of questions around sustainability, environmental impact, social impact, governance, and gender related. And what's important for you to know is that even if you are not currently undergoing environmental or social or governance practices, it's important that you write what you are currently doing and the risks that you see and how you would like to improve, but also your planned initiatives. And this is what's very great about this program, is that you don't always have to, we don't only evaluate the past and on your track record, but we also look at how you plan on improving your operations, your environmental impact, your social impact in the future. So this is something that we also invite you to share with us as you're filling out your proposal. Okay, next. Okay, so this is an overview of some questions in the expression of interest that you can see again in the solicitation document that's available in Arabic and English, even before you start filling out the form on Jot form. But here you'll see on the right, I know the handwriting is the text is a little bit small, but on the right we give you the chance to explain, your business model. Are you a B2C or are you a business to business entity, or do you target both? Do you sell directly to customers, to end users, or do you sell to distributors and retailers, or do you do both? Then we ask you about your number of customers and how many customers you plan to serve in the future. We also ask you about the end users that you have targeted, and we will explain a little bit what's the difference between a customer and an end user. And then we also ask questions around your fundraising goals. For example, how much do you plan to fundraise in the future? From what sources? And how will this help catalyze the grant amount that you receive? And then we also, in the case of track 1, for example, we also ask questions about how you plan to increase your revenue growth and increase your profitability growth. But again, I encourage you, even before you start filling out the questions on the Jot form online, definitely take a look at the PDF folder that is online, the solicitation document in Arabic or English. And please, prepare your questions first, draft it, run the responses by your team, align with your team, and then fill out the form that is online. And by the way, you can also complete your applications in Arabic, English, or French, even though the solicitation document is only available in Arabic and English. Okay, so this is the checklist that we go through when we're doing the first screening. So the first thing we do when we receive applications is we do a quick eligibility screening. And what we look at, we see, does the innovation that the applicant is applying with, does it have a clear link to the water, energy, food nexus? So is it providing water saving, water treatment, water desalination, water efficiency solutions in the agriculture sector, or clean energy efficiency solutions in the agriculture sector? And by agriculture, we're talking about both farm level all the way to food processing. And we're also, this time in WE4F 2.0, we're looking also at other supply chain enhancing aspects like packaging, like cold storage, like I said earlier, and also aspects related to food waste management, organic waste management. So this is what we'll be looking at as a first point, is does this applicant offer an innovation that's within one of the 11 themes that we're targeting? Then we look at the innovative aspect, and by innovation, we don't mean technological innovation. It could be business model innovation, it could be supply chain innovation, it could be financial innovation. So we look at, what is this company or what is this organization offering differently than what is already in the market or in the region, and how is this adding value to their customers and end users in the agriculture and food value chain? So this is, and we rely on you provide us with this background. And of course, we also do our own assessment, given that we're present in the region. But the more you can explain how what you're offering is different from the status quo in the market that you're operating in, how it's different from the competition, how it's different from the alternatives that your customers are currently using, the better, the stronger your application. For track one, we look at potential to scale, and we look at demonstrated actions in supporting the access and affordability of their solutions to women, youth, and vulnerable groups. For track two, we look at the high degree of innovation and the potential to disrupt the market in which the innovator is working in. And again, here we rely on you to provide us with this information and with this background. Okay, next. So who is not eligible? I'll go through this quickly. It's the opposite of what we just said. You're not eligible if there's a weak or no link to water and energy efficiency and savings and improvements in agriculture and food value chains. And if there's no link to climate resilience in agriculture and food value chains. If the innovation does not have a clear and quantifiable positive impact on vulnerable communities, on women, and on the environment, then it is not eligible. What is also not eligible are very early stage businesses or organizations that only have a prototype or only have a pilot and don't have at least 1 year of operations and generating revenues. So unfortunately, those are not targeted, but many other programs in the region, alhamdulillah, already target those this stage. And companies that are established and large and have been operational for more than 30 years, whose technologies are already used in the market. It doesn't demonstrate innovative aspects, and if this entity is operating outside the eligible countries, then of course it doesn't make it eligible. Okay, next. Okay, so there are a few key definitions that are important for you to understand as you're filling out the application. And these definitions are also in the solicitation document. This is one of the most important ones that we found some applicants sometimes get confused about. So we wanted to clear it out for you. So a customer is what everybody on this call knows very well. A customer is a person or an entity or an organization that directly purchases your product or your service. And if you are a business to customer innovator, then your customers are the farmers or your food consumers. So the people, for example, that buy your product in the supermarket or in the kiosk or in the retail outlet. B2B, if you're a business-to-business innovator, then your customers are the businesses that you sell your product or solution to. So it could be the trader, it could be the distributor, it could be the supplier. And end users are not just your direct customers. End users also include your customers, but they also include other people around your customers or other organizations or entities around your customers that might also benefit from your innovation. So from the water or energy savings or material savings that your innovation is helping happen. So this could also include, for example, the family members of the farmer. So if you're providing a solar irrigation system or compost or biogas system to a farmer, it's very highly likely that also their family members, the mother, the children, also benefit from the savings and the emission reductions and the other impact areas that this innovation is helping realize. So here you will not only count the farmer, your customer, the person who buys is the farmer, but here you will count the farmer plus their family members, like 3, 4, 5 family members that are also benefiting from the solution. So this is a really key point, and you'll see in the solicitation document more information on the difference between the two. Okay, next slide. Okay, innovation. In our region, we usually say, ibtikar, and when we say ibtikar, we usually mean technology innovation. or an innovation in the product. This is true, but we also invite you to think beyond just that, beyond the product and technology. If you have an innovative way of marketing the product compared to what is existing in the market, if you have an innovative way of delivering the product, for example, combining a product with after sales services or with financial services, and if this is not common in the market, it's important to highlight that. It could be in the supply chain, it could be in your packaging, it could be in the way in your payment terms. And again, here we always compare to what is available in the market that you're operating in. We're not saying what is innovative in the whole world or compared to the whole region. We're looking at what is innovative compared to the as is situation in the country that you're targeting or in the country that you're operating in. Okay, so this is a really important point. Let's not only think about the innovation in the product or in the technology, let's also showcase in your application form other innovative aspects. Next. Okay, the business model. So that's a key point because you'll find that in the expression of interest, the most of the questions that we ask are around what is your business model. So here, we need to think about the business model as how your enterprise or how your innovation creates, delivers, and captures value. And it's important to show, for example, basically how you generate revenue. What are your revenue streams? Who are your main customer segments? What is your value proposition? What's your competitive edge? All these ingredients are what makes a business model. And one of the important points is you do not need to be a for-profit business. I know that there was a question in the chat about this point. You do not need to be a for-profit business. You can be a non-for-profit organization as long as you have a revenue generating arm or revenue generating activities. And this is really important for you to show in your application form. Because even though that as a nonprofit you might not be generating profit, it's important for us to see that you are generating revenue and you can be sustainable and scalable in the future. Okay, one of our advice, if you're not already familiar with it, there's a tool called the Business Model Canvas. And the Business Model Canvas is a really useful way to capture the main elements of your business model. And there's a lot of videos and resources online about this tool. Okay, next. Okay, so there's another acronym, BOP. This means base of the pyramid. And this is also written in the solicitation document clearly with a definition. But this program, WE4F 2.0, really wants to make sure that we are also accessing vulnerable communities. So we want to make sure that individuals that are below the poverty line or have a per day income of less than $2 to $6, that vulnerable communities like smallholder farmers, usually in our region, most smallholder farmers are farmers that have below 2 acres of land. And while they may not be operating at below the poverty line, they do have very limited access to resources. Similarly, with individuals that have limited access to resources. We also consider displaced communities, refugees, and youth and women. All these segments of society are very, very key for us to tackle in this program. So we need to see in your application form what you have done in the past to tackle these segments and very important segments of our community. Because if we're talking about smallholder farmers, for example, they're more than 80% of the farmlands in our country is that. Women also present more than 50% of the agriculture and food sectors. So it's very key for us to for you to show in your application how you serve these communities, whether it's through your marketing or through your sales or your pricing or your product development or your business model. How do you serve these communities? How have you done it in the past? and how you plan to do it in the future. So like I said, no problem if you have not been, tackling all the aspects that you would like to tackle in the past. This program is meant to help you grow and catalyze these initiatives, like Mr. Saman said. So it's important for you to tell us what you have done in the past, but also what you plan to do in the future to serve these very important segments of society. Next. Okay, ESG stands for environment, social, and governance. So we also look at ESG aspects, not only the business and innovation and financial aspects. Hello. Not only the business and financial innovative aspects, but we also look at environmental, social, and governance aspects. So what we mean by environmental is how your business conducts water management, resource management, material management, energy management, and how your entity tackles climate resilience. Social, usually under social comes gender integration and integration of the base of the pyramid segments and women and youth as well, like we mentioned earlier. And by governance, we look at the team structure, we look at how decision making is done within your team, and how accountability setting is conducted. In the expression of interest phase, we only look at the team structure and the team balance, whereas in the full proposal phase, we begin looking deeper into how you conduct business internally and your decision-making processes. Next.
Thank you,
Great.
Irene.
Okay, so I'll pass the mic to my colleague Leia, who will be giving you all the operational details for what's coming next. Thank you very much.
Irene. Thank you, Saman. Moving on to key dates. So we officially launched the call in March with a virtual event. And again, if you missed it, you can watch it on our website. I will be sharing the link again with the other links for the tracks. Following today's session, we will be having two in-person informational sessions happening. So one is happening in Amman and the second in Cairo. So if you have colleagues or partners who would benefit from attending, please do share this with them. Our country coordinators will be explaining this further. For registration details, you can reach out directly to them, and they will also be sharing their information in the chat. I will be reintroducing them as well. And of course, please, the application deadline is 30th of April. And please don't wait too long to start with your application process if you haven't yet. So for the website, Talar, yes, thank you. So for the website, when you head to we4f.org/MENA, in the website header, you're either going to have We4F 2.0 MENA or the call for innovations. So for any general information, frequently asked questions, more general information about the partners, the donors, the several tracks, you can go to we4f.org/MENA. I will be sharing the links again. And here, for anything related to eligibility and the application, you either go on Call for Innovations and press track 1 or track 2, or you can directly go with the link I have also shared in the chat, either to track 1 or track 2. In the tracks, you will be finding, in the track pages, you will be finding the solicitation documents, which we strongly encourage you to read before applying. And you will also have the application link where you can start with the application process directly. Please, if you can also take a moment to put down the links, the link details. And if you have any further question related to how to navigate the website, how to find the link, or how to find the solicitation documents, you can also directly contact the country coordinators and they will be supporting you with that. For the FAQ, when you go to the general website, again, which is also on the screen here, you can either view the FAQ document, which covers most of the questions that we receive, and we update it regularly as more questions come in. And if you've gone through the FAQ and you still can't find the question that you're looking for, please, there's also the email we4f@berrytech.org where you can send us your questions and we will be responding through the FAQ document with the updated answers. And with that, I'm gonna hand it over to Irene again to explain what happens after you submit your application.
Okay, great. I apologize. I noticed that in the chat there's a few questions about EOI, concept note, full proposal. So there's only two stages. One is the EOI, the expression of interest, which is also an application form that you fill. It's not just a letter. And then the second phase is the full proposal. So there's phase one, expression of interest, phase two, full proposal. Okay, then once you submit, we shortlist, like we said, based on the eligibility criteria. And if you're shortlisted, we will send you an email saying that you are welcome to apply for the full proposal phase. So this process takes about 6 weeks. Then, when you're filling out the full proposal, so those of you that do get screened and are deemed to be eligible, will be allowed to submit a full proposal, and we will be invited to do so. And once you submit the full proposal, we follow up with a question and answer session if necessary, and this takes place online for further clarification if needed. And it's a form of an interview as well. So this will also give you an opportunity, if something wasn't clear in your full proposal, for you to clarify some points. Then, once you are awarded, there is a series of induction workshops that you will undergo. Like Mr. Saman said, this is where we help you refine your growth plan, we help you refine your targets and your budget, and the best allocation of the grant on your budget to help you catalyze your activities. And then we enter the due diligence phase, which includes a site visit, it includes a gap analysis, it includes developing, finalizing your growth plan, and that takes about 3 weeks. Then we finalize your milestones and your targets quantitatively, because this feeds into the last step, which is your grant agreement. And the final approval takes about 2 weeks. So as you can see in the orange phase, there's a lot of co-working that we do together, co-creation, to help you refine your proposal, to help you refine your budget, to help you refine your KPIs before you sign your grant agreement. And these refinements will also be reflected in the grant agreement. Okay. I already went through that. So just for the sake of time, so we go into the Q&A. Just an important point for the participants is that all our communication is done by email. So please make sure if you don't receive a response from us within 3 days, just let us know, because it might be that our emails to you are going to your spam. So this is a key point. And Ms. Leah, if you can please write the email in the chat that they should be getting the emails from the We4Food email. Great. Okay, so some tips. Please submit in English, Arabic, or French. Like I said, even though the solicitation documents are in English and Arabic, but you can also apply in French. Okay. Start ahead of time. Please do not leave the application form for 1 day or 2 days before, because sometimes on the final day there are technical issues, anything can happen. So we definitely encourage you to start ahead of time. Also, you do not need to fill the application chronologically. You can fill out question 5 first, before question 1, before question 3. But make sure that you save your responses on Jot form, and make sure that when you are done, you actually click on submit. Because sometimes, actually, unfortunately, in previous programs, some applicants forgot to click on the submit button. So make sure you click on the submit button. Plan for multiple rounds of internal revisions within your team. So it's important that the person that's filling out the application can also run it by other decision makers in the company and make sure that you've captured everything you can. Back up your answers with reliable sources and data. So whenever you say a number about the market size, for example, or about the competitive landscape, as much as possible, try to put a reference for a credible source, a publication, a report that was written in academic journals. Enjoy the learning and the reflection process. We've gotten really good feedback from We4Food 1.0 innovators that the process of filling out the expression of interest and the full proposal helped them shed light on a lot of their strengths and their growth plans. So it was a very useful process, so enjoy it. And please do not rely only on AI. You need to review your the content, and it needs to be logical. And this information will also be verified in the full proposal stage and in the EOI stage. So it's really key that you write realistic, verifiable information. And wherever you use AI, please indicate that you have done so as well. Speak to your country coordinators. Most of you have already been in touch with the country coordinators in different countries. So there's Ms. Sarah Yasmin, who's responsible for Tunisia, Morocco, and Algeria in the next phase, inshallah. Mr. Ambriz in Egypt, Ms. Alia Nasr in Egypt, Mr. Osama in Jordan, Ms. Majd in Jordan, Mr. Mu'nis in Iraq, and Mr. Anthony in Lebanon and Syria. So please be in touch with them. They're all attending right now. And team, I'll ask for you to also share your emails on the chat, please, if possible, so that if anybody has any follow-up questions, you can reach out to them. Please note that the deadline for Q&A, Leah, when was the deadline for a Q&A? In terms of written Q&A.
Yes, but before the Q&A, can you start as well with giving a bit of a quick overview on the in-person event that is happening in Cairo on the 21st of April, just for people who are interested in attending?
Okay, so we have two in-person events. There's one in Jordan on the 19th, and this will be led by Osama and Majd as well in Jordan. That's on the 19th of April. And on the 21st of April, we will also be having an event in Cairo. The event is going to be short. It's one hour to 2 hours, and it's going to also present an overview of the program. You'll get to meet the teams in those countries, and you also get to meet We4Food 1.0 innovators in case you have any questions or would like their advice. So it's a great way for us to get to know you and for you to get to know previous innovators as well. And we will also have representation from some of the donor partners in the project, in the program. Okay, so on the chat, you'll find the emails of the country coordinators, Anthony in Lebanon, Mu'nis in Iraq, Sarah Yasmin, Morocco, Algeria, Tunisia, Amr Riz. You'll find all of those in the last few inputs in the chat, and I'll be uploading Alia's as well. Okay,
Okay,
great.
thank you, Irene. Can we give the floor a bit to Majd now to tell us about the in-person event that's happening in Amman? The
Thank
floor
you,
is yours.
Leah, and thank you, Leah and Irene. So we're so excited to announce an upcoming offline session in Amman, Jordan, as Irene mentioned, taking place at the St. Regis Hotel on the April 19th. This will be an in-person information and Q&A session for interested companies to learn more and engage directly with us. All participants from Jordan who have registered for today's online session will receive an invitation by email shortly, including full details for the event. And we look forward to seeing many of you there. Thank you.
Thank you, Majd.
Leah, I forgot to mention that in
Yes.
Egypt, it's on the 21st, April 21st, from 9:30 to 11:30 in Steidenberger Hotel in Cairo in downtown.
Great. Thank you, Irene. Irene, would you like to lead on the Q&A?
Yes, sure.
All right.
Maybe I can
Okay.
read the questions for you, Irene, and
So
then you.
yes, that would be really helpful.
Yes,
Thank you.
let's start. Let's start.
Okay,
We
great.
have a question. So, for all participants, we've registered all your questions. First come, first serve, and that's how we're gonna answer to them. So, please be patient. We will cover your questions. First question: we are a non-for-profit company registered in Jordan. Can we apply for this funding opportunity?
Yes, if you feel you're eligible, please do. And like I said earlier, you can apply for both tracks. So we're not able to give inputs on what is eligible or not, but here I'm referring to that even if you're a nonprofit, you can still apply. This program is not only tackling for-profits. So this is an important point. You can still apply, and if you feel like you're borderline between the two tracks, please apply for both tracks.
Okay, so next question. There's a person who would like to know for firms which are 2 years old. Does this mean from the date of registration or since inception?
So we look at both. So we encourage you, and in the application form, you'll have the opportunity to write both. And if there's a difference between the two, please clarify that. Please clarify, for example, you registered in year XYZ and you have generating revenues since year XYZ. So I understand that in the region sometimes there's a difference between the two, but please mention both if it's not the same year.
All right. We have a question in Arabic. السؤال: عندي مؤسسة بالطاقة ريادية مسجلة منذ 2 سنين، يثبت أقدم على المنحة، وشو الأرباح المطلوبة؟ ريادية.
I can take this one.
Okay. Yes.
مبدئيا يس نعم ممكن التقدم بالطلب لهذا البرنامج على شرط أن يكون الحل أو السوليوشن الانوفيشن مرتبط بترابط المياه الطاقة والغذاء وليس فقط مشروع طاقة منفصل. وبالنسبة للأرباح إذا عم نحكي عن تراك 2 فنحن عم نحكي عن مبيعات بقيمة $100,000 وليس أرباح. الأرباح منا محددة for track 2 بينما for track 1 الأرباح لازم تكون بحدود 5% من مجمل المبيعات، والمبيعات لازم تكون 300,000. إذا الشركة صار لها 2 it is maybe a more suitable as track 2.
بالظبط. ولو حضراتكم مش متأكدين تاني تقدروا تقدموا على الاثنين. الابلكيشن فورم الأولاني الاكسبريشن اوف انترست ما بياخدش وقت كبير، فتقدروا تقدموا على الاثنين واحنا نقدر نوظفكم في التراك المظبوط. Okay.
Great. Next question. Do you fund the energy-oriented business in general or only agriculture-oriented ones? For example, if we mainly produce alternative fuel to replace coal in the cement sector, is it okay for you to or no?
No, so the program is water and energy for food. So it's really key that your innovation actually eventually targets the agriculture or food value chain. So it's important that the innovation actually targets the agriculture and food sectors.
Mhm.
But again, we encourage you to read the solicitation document. You'll see what is included and what is not included. But a key note is that it's the agriculture and food value chains that are targeted. So even if your main business operations targets a different sector, but you do have some operations in the agri-food sector and you would like to expand those operations, you can indicate so in your application form.
Great.
Okay, the next question we've answered already. It's related to if non-for-profit can apply. If you have a revenue generating arm, then yes, you can still apply. طيب السؤال اللي جاي احنا ردينا عليه، هو بيسأل عن معايير اختيار المشاريع المقبولة في كل مسار، فاحنا وضحنا الفرق ما بين تراك 1 وتراك 2. أستاذ سمعان لو ممكن تساعدنا في الرد على في سؤال ما المقصود بالجرانت افريج. ففكرة ان احنا بنقول ان يعني الجرانت ممكن يكون within 100k or 200k، فلو ممكن نشرح الحد الأقصى والحد الأدنى، لو في حد أقصى، إيه الحد الأقصى؟
I can take this one. بالمبدأ ما في حد أقصى وحد أدنى. نحن اتبعنا متوسط المنح اللي هي لأول تراك اللي هو بمتوسط $100,000 ولتاني تراك بمتوسط 50,000. ما في حد أقصى حد أدنى. It's case by case. يعني نحن بنشوف شو هو الكيس المقدم وقد ايه عم ينعمل امباكت على هالاساس. يعني نحن ساعه اللي بدنا نقدم مبلغ اكبر بده يكون في اثبات لحاجه هذا المبلغ ولاثاره من ناحيه الاثار البيئيه واثار الاجتماعيه، بالاضافه لاثاره على تطور الشركه. هي حتتاخذ كيس باي كيس، بس اكيد الرقم بده يكون قريب للافرج. يعني بدنا ننقل الرقم يكون قريب للافرج اللي نحن عم نحكي عنه لكل مسار، كان المسار الأول والمسار الثاني.
شكرا أستاذة باميلا. Okay, في سؤال another question on if salaries can be considered as in-kind contribution.
I can answer that.
Yes, تفضل.
Yes, so as I said on the matching fund, salaries can be considered. It is actually a cash contribution, not in kind, because the company is paying for those salaries. But here, as we said, also it should be related to the scale-up activity related to the project that you are funding under the WE4F. I'll give an example. Let's say under the grant budget, you will be covering expenses related to your market expansion. Let's say you are operating within Cairo in Egypt, and you need to expand to another region in Egypt. So you need to hire a new sales team, maybe do some studies, hire some consultants. So everything related to the salaries for those new employees or new consultants or daily workers maybe can be considered as a matching fund. The thing is that we do not want to cover expenses that you are already covering
Sorry, Samhan. I
in
think we're
your
having some
business
cuts.
سمعان you are cutting.
as usual. So
Sorry, Samhan, I just muted you
I
because we were having some cuts. Yeah.
I can continue the response. So what Sam'an is saying that the salaries can be considered as cash.
your business and your scale up within the country, or even though outside the country that you are operating in. So yes, we can consider salaries as a contribution, as a matching fund, but it is considered as a cash contribution. Oh, sorry, I didn't notice that. Is there
No worries, Samhan. I think internet connection is not stable from your end. Maybe removing the video might help in the later stage. But yes, thank you. And let's move on to the next question, please.
Hi, Talar. Can you hear me now?
Yes. Great.
I think I'm having some problems with the connection. So
Yes,
I'll
it's
just
okay. It's okay. The team will cover the rest of the questions. Thank you.
So next question, Katalar.
Yes.
Okay, Talar, I think I've tried to merge the questions because there is some repetition.
Yes.
So hopefully I'll go through the main themes, and then if the participants feel like there's something missing, please write it in the chat again. Okay, so there's been several questions around the nonprofit point, and we mentioned that even if it's a nonprofit organization, but has revenue generating activities, then you can apply, and please clarify revenue generating activities. Then there's some questions on the what is considered to be in kind and what can be funded by the grant. So, Talar, meanwhile, if we just pull up that slide, and I'll go through the rest of the questions as we pull up the slide about what's eligible and what is not in terms of the grant, and what can be considered in kind or not. There's a question around the language of filling out the application forms. Yes, we can fill out the application forms in English, Arabic, or French. In terms of the annual revenues and the growth, etc., and also the percentage women affected. So it's important that the audience knows that we look at the application as a whole. We don't just look at one number and then we say, okay, no, this number doesn't fit, so the entity doesn't fit. So even, for example, if you haven't met the minimum revenue or minimum EBITDA, it's important that you show your track record and that you explain why you haven't met that minimum and what you plan to do to improve your operations and your financial stability. So we look at the application as a whole. We read all the questions and we read all the eligibility multiple choice questions that we have in the JOT form, and we make a holistic assumption. So it's if you feel like you're not fully meeting the revenue requirement, you're a bit less EBITDA, you're a bit less the grant, it's a bit less, still apply, but explain why, for example, your revenues have been up and down in the last period, for example, and what you plan to do to improve that. Same with EBITDA. Percentage women is the same. So yes, if there's a percentage less than our threshold, much less, then and the applicant doesn't explain what they plan to do to increase their integration of women, etc., in the future, then that's a different story than if the percentage women targeted is smaller, but there's a clear plan to how this entity plans to expand more to women, introduce their products and services to women. So that's an important point to mention because it's not the case that we only look at a certain threshold and then we cut out the application without reading the rest of the application. We read the full application and we assess holistically. Okay. So we're not able to give feedback on eligibility, like I mentioned. We cannot say, what technologies are eligible and what are not, because we need to, again, read the full proposal, understand the full picture. But like we said, it's important that you fit within those 11 themes. And those 11 themes are explained very, very, in a very detailed way in the solicitation document. So please take a look at that. And like I said earlier, it's important that you are targeting the agriculture and food value chains. There was a question about aquaculture. Aquaculture is still considered to be within the agriculture and food value chains. So that could be considered. The valorization of food waste. So there was a question around the valorization of food waste into non-food products. The valorization of food waste and the management of organic waste and packaging and the infrastructure that can serve, even if it's supporting industry to the agriculture and food value chains, it can still be considered. So if you're, here the question is valorizing of food waste, even if it's the final product is a non-food product, but because food waste comes out of the food value chain and agriculture value chain, it is still considered to be part of the agri-food systems, let's say. Okay, so I think I've answered most questions. There's a question about explaining briefly the difference between track 1 and 2. We can get back to this again towards the end of the meeting, but I think I'd rather, if Mr. Saman, if your connection is better, or Pamela, if we can just go over one more time what is included in the grant and what is not, and what is counted as matching funds and what is not. This would be really helpful.
Hi, Irene. I don't know, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you,
Yes,
but
we
we can't see you. Saman, it might be
I'll keep the camera off just for the sake of
if
the connection. So
exactly.
yeah, I can have a wrap up of what you were saying about the grant and the matching fund. So as we said, the grant should cover all the expenses related to the project itself, such as salaries, raw materials, consumables, services. To give you a small example, let's say, I don't know if you heard me before, but I think due to the connection, I was not able to deliver my message well. So let's say you are operating in a country, let's say in Egypt, and you plan to have a market expansion. Let's say you're operating in Cairo and you want to expand to another region in Egypt. So here you will be thinking of hiring a new sales team, maybe new daily workers to increase production, new consultants to study the market that you are going to penetrate, let's say. So all of those expenses can be covered in addition to raw materials, to consumables, to even equipment. But as I said, the equipment is preferably can be considered under your contribution as a matching fund. And we keep all the operating activities covered from the grant. So let's say you need to buy new equipment to increase production line. This is where you will be paying from your own funds, and we will be covering all the expenses related to the additional workers, the salaries for the employees contributed to the or linked to the project, the raw materials, etc. We will, as I also mentioned, in the due diligence phase, we will conduct a budget negotiation with the pre-finalists. So meanwhile, in the expression of interest, you are not required to provide details. Just you have to get an idea about what is your plan to scale, and of course, to identify the monetary value of the funds that you are in need to. So let's say you are in need for $60,000. You will be contributing for 100% if you are applying for track 1, or for 30,000, 50% if you are applying for track 2. The items that will be covered under the grants and the matching fund, we will conduct a budget negotiation in a detailed way upon the due diligence phase if you are deemed to be selected to the next phase of the full proposal. So mainly, we do not have any issue covering specific expenses for your business. As I said, salaries, raw materials, consumables, etc. But of course, we prefer to keep the equipment and the capex expenditure under the matching fund requirement that you are going to contribute.
Okay, great. So
Sorry, I
I
don't
think
know.
this covers a few of the questions. Yeah, there's one point that's important to note as well. So two things. One is if the entity is in a prototyping phase or testing phase or piloting phase, this program is not targeting companies in this stage. It's important in between those two tracks. In track 1, at least 3 years of operations, and in track 2, at least 1 year of operations. So that means it has to be a revenue generating entity. It cannot be in piloting or prototyping phase. There was another question about if this material will be provided. Yes, the launch event video is published and it's on YouTube. And this today's session will also be available on YouTube. I just want to also clarify, please read the solicitation document. It has a lot of information about the 11 themes. Some of the questions were around the 11 themes. I just want to note as well that WE4F 2.0 has expanded its focus on water, and given the challenges that we're facing in the region. So in some cases, if it's a water solution like desalination, wastewater treatment, it could be considered even if it's outside of the agriculture and food systems. So, but please, it's very difficult for us to give feedback on the eligibility by just hearing a quick question. So we encourage you to read the document. And if you have any hesitations about which track you fit the most, please apply for both tracks. We encourage you to apply for both. The expression of interest document is not intensive. Most of you here probably already, can answer those questions in a very appropriate way. So we suggest that you apply for both if you have any doubts.
Yes, thank you, Eileen. I was able to reload the Q&A document, so I was not able to identify the questions already asked. But I noticed here that someone is asking about irrigation system and solar system for organic farm. So here we are speaking about capital expenditures. The grant will be covering mainly all the operating expenses, and we encourage you to pay from your contribution as a matching fund for the solar system or any irrigation system. Of course, if you need to include it within the grant, we can study this on a case by case. The final stage, of course, it should be relatively small amounts. As we said, we focus that the grant is covering mainly the operating part of your business. I noticed also that a question about the salaries is also, so yes, the salary is
Samhan, I'm
we
sorry, but your
can cover
internet is not
it
stable again.
on
I'm just gonna
the
mute you. Okay, but I think we might have one more room for questions. Irene, maybe you can pick the question that we would like to address, and then with that we can kind of wrap up since we're reaching the limit for today's session.
Tanar, I think we've covered them all. The last few questions, so related to the revenues, the exact revenues, the exact profitability. I think we tackled this when we said that we look at the application holistically, and if you feel your revenue generation is less or the EBITDA is less than what is targeted, explain it in the qualitative part of the application form. So the more you explain, the more you clarify, the better. So the point about CapEx investments, the program is focusing on financing operational expenses. If there is a big business case for financing CapEx, you just make that clear in your application form, and this will be considered by the grants and finance team. But the top priority is to finance OpEx in this program. If there's a need to finance CapEx, you can clarify that. And as Saman mentioned earlier, we will there will be an opportunity to work closely with the team to optimize on your budgeting and to optimize on your grant allocation before finalizing your work plan and submitting it, and before signing the grant agreement.
Okay.
But the program does prioritize financing OPEX, so operational expenditures.
So one point that I would like to add here, since we have the grant amount plus the matching fund, so it is recommended to dedicate the matching fund for the capex, such as the solar pumps, and the irrigation systems, and to dedicate the grant amount for the expenditure, the OPEX expenditures that are related to the expansion and not the existing ones that are related basically to the expansion.
Okay. Thank you, Pamela. And with that, thank you all. We have recorded and we have kept your questions in the chat, and we have them on a document. We will address them with the team, and then we will make it available for all of you. All the participants here will receive the recordings, and the questions that we will be addressing and answering them will be available on the website under FAQ. So previous and recent questions, all of them are gonna be available. So thank you everyone for joining, and I hope this session was informative for all of you. I hope we cleared some concerns and questions you had, and we urge you to start with your application process from today. Don't leave it to the last minute, because we had some cases when they left it to the last minute, the system crashed and they weren't able to submit their forms. So start early. If you have questions, again, send them to WE4F@beritech.org email address, or directly to your country coordinator, and then we will address them as well and complete the FAQ form with those additional questions. Again, thank you everyone, and have a great rest of the day.
Thank you.